It seems like it's been 40 weeks since you got 40 winks. Your back pain? Unbearable. Tossing, turning, trying to find that pain-free position. And that's the moment you realize you can't spend another waking moment putting off treatment.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for spine care, with a ton of surgical and non-surgical treatments for back pain. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 670, Gaining COVID Weight.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hello there. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I am Amanda Valentine, and I want to talk about gaining weight through COVID/2020. Particularly, I want to talk about my weight gain during that time. So if this is your first episode listening to this podcast, it's probably going to be a hot mess. I will probably cry. I'm already going to go ahead and predict that. If I don't, pretty rad. That'll be good for me. And I just really wanted to be honest about my journey. I mean, I've been doing this podcast 3.5 years now, which is crazy, and sharing my journey. And I want to share some of the things I've been going through, which I feel like I'm pretty open about on this podcast. And, I just want to be transparent and honest about my own weight loss journey, especially through 2020 and coming into 2021, because like so many other people, 2020 was a pretty brutal year for me. I know so many people have had it so much worse, and I don't want to feel like I'm just complaining about my own little first world problems over here. But I think all of our problems, no matter what, are valid and shouldn't be compared to other people's as mine's worse and our mine's better, or etc. That we're all having our own battles to different degrees, and they affect us in different ways. So there might be something here I talk about where you're like, that ain't nothing, but to me, it's something, and that's valid. And whatever you're going through is also very valid to you. And if there's people in your life trying to take that validation from you, from your real pain or struggle, then that's not fair, and that's not okay. And I don't really feel like I have a lot of those people in my life, so I'm not going down that track. But I feel like I did gain weight. I obviously did not gain all my weight back, but I did gain some weight into 2020, and I have been losing weight over the past few months. So kind of going through another different kind of weight loss journey, which is all part of the journey, right? I mean, I started my, I guess my whole life has been a weight loss journey. I've been obese since I was 6, and started my first for realsies, like actually losing weight diet in my early 20s, and yo-yoed pretty bad for a decade. If you're new here and you don't know my backstory, and then a New Year's resolution in 2012 to just make the best decision possible in every moment, led to losing over 100 pounds and maintaining for almost a decade, minus 2020 having some setbacks here. And again, I'm not saying that these were like huge, massive setbacks. I don't want to act like, like, oh my God, I gained 200 pounds or anything like that. But it's been a struggle for me in so many different ways. And not that I want to justify any sort of weight gain other than life gets hard, you know what I mean? But to kind of go through what my 2020 looked like, and going through this is also just because of like, I just want to have the point across that no matter how much you love a healthy lifestyle, and I love this life, this is a lifestyle for me of, I love moving my body, and I love eating good things and all of those things. And this is my life, how there's still stumbles along the road, how you can still be knocked down and have to pick yourself back up again. Just because you lose any sort of weight, or especially a large amount of weight, doesn't mean that you aren't susceptible to hard things and fall back into old coping mechanisms. And that's okay. And, as I can say this to you listening to say that you're not a failure by any means. See, I told you I was going to cry. But telling myself what a failure I am, that's like just so not fair. And that's something that I'm working through. But so for 2020, first off, I left a 20-year career that I cared about very much, working in the radio industry, which is what I always wanted to do. Radio is not a job for me. It was my life. And for a lot of reasons, deciding to walk away from that, turn down a contract, turn down a lot of money, more money than I had ever made. And to say, no, I don't want this. I want to pursue a career in health and fitness. And I really want to help other people on their journey. And this is where my passion is now. And this is something I need to follow. And through that, through some legal fun, to take ownership of this podcast, because this podcast means so much to me. And I really believe in the ways that this podcast can help people, whether it's through me or the people that I have on this podcast and the discussions that we have. So that was already a difficult way to start 2020. And then the decision to become an entrepreneur, which was never really in my grand scheme of plans or anything. That is not something I aspired to be, of owning my own business, which my business LLC is Amanda Valentine Bites. Part of that is a wink to, I've never owned my own name. By working in media, you sign contracts that they own your face and your voice and your name and everything else. And so that was kind of like, I own me again. That's pretty cool. But then to have a business that is based off of you, where my business is me, where I could step back and be like, wow, that's pretty insane. And that's incredible and can be empowering, but it also can be very crushing. And my therapist was like, I don't know if this is a good idea for you to start a business that can be so tied into body image, because I have a lot of history with body image issues, and I still deal with that. And I always say that's probably definitely a good part of gaining some weight and kind of going into some habits. But then, COVID hit, and we all know how that happened. I don't have to tell you about that. But for that part of my business plans, we're traveling and speaking engagements and all this stuff where I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing, leaving my other job and starting all this. But like, I'm just going to jump in. I'm just going to trust fall, right? I'm going to have faith. We're going to see what happens. And then, 2 months in, 2.5 months in of everything, I just watched half of your plans get kicked over. And already in your head of like, people are watching you, people are judging you, people are expecting you to fall, and here's this happening. And okay, well, we'll deal with that. But at the beginning of COVID, I was so hopeful of like, man, this is such a good opportunity for everybody to focus on health. And I could see so many silver linings in this. And I really did have so many high hopes, March, April of 2020. And then, as the year went on and COVID went on and elections and people fighting and just, the way the world was. And then also me trying to figure out how to make money and have a business based off of me, and what I have to say and my weight loss. It's so much of me is like, wow, this is a first world problem, Amanda. But if you're listening to this, I know that everybody knows some level of like sharing your journey, right? Whether you want to lose weight, you are losing weight, or you're just doing something better for your body or moving more, just changing a lifestyle, right? And a lot of those times we want to share that stuff on social media, and that comes at a price sometimes, because if you're like, well, if I fail or I fall off the wagon, and then you feel like garbage because you're like, well, I put it out there that I was doing this thing and I failed at it. Now everyone knows I'm failing at it, right? Like, I just feel like that is a conversation we're not having that we should, especially, with like Instagram and Facebook, of how much that can be tormenting sometimes, of really putting yourself out there. And a lot of people start, weight loss accounts to hold themselves accountable. And I think that's amazing. I am in no way saying don't do these things on social media. I do these things on social media. But I feel like when things aren't going the way you want them to, then it has the power to just really make you feel like trash, right? where then you just internalize and beat yourself up. And I will tell you what, I am a master at beating myself up. I am extremely hard on myself, and I'm working on it, and it's getting better. But it's, not only that of just, I'm falling back into old coping mechanisms because 2020 was so hard, where I'm sticking to my meal prep and it's just so much stress, and had a few binge eating episodes. And then I feel like, well, it's my job now. I have this health and fitness podcast, and I'm doing health and fitness things, and I'm trying to be a personal trainer and an online health coach and all these other things. And here I am struggle busing so hard. And who am I to talk about those things, Do you just feel like such a liar? But I've been really hard on myself about that, because it's hard to really jump in with both feet into this is how I'm going to show up in life. And just like my therapist said, it's kind of dangerous that everything you're doing now is so tied into what you look like, or a before and after picture. And yeah, it'll mess you up, man. And so it's just kind of working through that of just, again, because it's me, there's nobody else has said anything to me. No one in real life, no one on social media, no one that listens to this podcast emailed me and said anything. This is me terrorizing myself, just brutalizing myself about what a horrible person I am. Because, I didn't hold on to this exact thing. And, just saying it out loud seems stupid, right? You could hear it, and I could hear it to other people saying that to me. But you're just so hard on yourself, and it's just so unfair. You know what I mean? And it's like, now being an official personal trainer and everything like that, of just like, oh my God, can this be my job when, I'm still struggling through my own journey, like feeling I have to have it mastered or perfect in order to do it. And then I pull myself back and I'm like, oh my God, Amanda, this is what makes you good at your job. You know what I mean? Of there's so many people out there that want to act like they're so perfect and they don't ever struggle with their weight or whatever. And they're putting booty pictures on Instagram and want you to believe it. They got it all figured out, and just buy their supplements and you'll have rock hard abs like them. And it's, to join in the world is scary, to put yourself out there, be like, hey, I know you follow me or you listen to me because I've lost weight and I talk about health and fitness, but I'm having a really hard time too. And I really have to tell myself that that's where I can help more people. You know what I mean? Of that's not, I can't think of the right word. I guess a fault of mine or something that's bad, where I've been telling myself how bad that is. Of no, I mean, for me, if I had a personal trainer, I want somebody to talk to me about how they're struggling too. That makes me feel better. That makes me feel not alone. You know what I mean? Of I want somebody that understands it and that's still living through it. And hell, we all struggled so hard the past year and a half, to be yeah, no one is immune to that. No matter how much you love it or how much you care, sometimes life just kicks you in the stomach and knocks you over for a minute. And the important part is you get back up, right? The important part is you take the lesson from it. You don't play a victim. You are a survivor and you stand back up and you figure it out. And so I've been really trying to coach myself through that. So last summer was pretty brutal. It's when I was in a pretty dark depression, which I have talked about on this podcast. If you're new here, you're like, God, this chick's a mess. But you can go back and listen to those depression episodes if you want. If this episode is not a hard enough party for you, then you can go back and really light it up with those episodes. But so I started antidepressants the end of October, beginning of November in 2020. And that's where, and I've also discussed on this podcast, I'm like, I need help right now. Like it's just it's just a lot. It's a lot. It's really crushing. It's a lot to deal with in a lot of ways, and I'm really treating myself badly. And this doesn't feel like me. It just doesn't. It doesn't feel like me at all. Like I just didn't feel comfortable in my own body again, that's what I want. Again, it's not about the number on the scale or what exactly my body looks like at this point. It's just, I just want to feel good. I just want to feel comfortable. I want to feel like me again. And I didn't feel comfortable in my own body again, at least not to the level I wanted to. And I just feeling so depressed and down and hard on myself and telling myself that I'm just bad at everything. And, that's where I'm like, okay, I need to reach out for help in a lot of ways. That's why I reached out to, a family care physician at Christ Hospital. We had discussions about depression and talked to my therapist through that. And that's why I started on antidepressants, of, reaching out to friends and being like, I need some help with some things, like for me, I just want to feel like I do this all on my own, and reaching out to my friend Sarah, who has been my health coach since pretty much like the beginning of November, who has been helping me a lot, where I'm like, I know how to do these things. I know how to count macros. I understand these things and I can do them for other people all day. I'm just such a deep people pleaser. I mean, that's another topic in therapy for me, but boundaries are not my strong suit. And so I'm like, I need you to help me. Like everything is just too much for me right now. I know how to do this, but God, I just need somebody to lean on. Just please just help me out, And the backstory with Sarah is she listened to this podcast and found her health coach, who was a guest on this podcast, hired her, and he got some amazing results for her. And she's gone through such an amazing journey from her gastric sleeve to plateauing out. And she's got a great weight loss story. And now she's a full-time health coach. It's just, I've met so many incredible people through this podcast. I mean, I have my therapist that I have because of this podcast, and oh my God, just Cincy 360 Fitness where I work, and Josh, I've met all of Whitney and everybody that I met her through this podcast. That's how I have, it's just, this podcast has just been life-changing for me. And, I created it to help other people. I didn't realize how much I was creating it to help myself, So that's pretty cool. I feel like I need to take some credit for that, right? God, this episode's a mess. Damn. I'm sorry for crying so much. I'll get back to dick jokes later. But, so having Sarah has been so huge because, she had me go through a battery of blood tests that I would have never done on my own. I found out I have Hashimoto's disease, which, don't worry, I'm working on some guests for this podcast to discuss that, because I know a lot of people struggle with autoimmune disorders or diseases. And so, and we reverse dieted, which I could never do on my own. Just brutal. And I'm such a go hard. It was tough. And me and Sarah got through that. And now I've been in this cut and been losing weight. And I'm posting a photo on Instagram. I don't know when you're going to listen to this, but it'll be up around there somewhere. Whatever the date this episode came out is the date I'm going to put this photo up, which is also incredibly vulnerable and scary for me. Of just a back picture of me at the end of October to now, which is May. I mean, I took the photo May 7th. And just to see the difference of that, of just me taking care of myself again. And I am in a place right now where I do feel good in my body. And do I feel like the best I've ever felt or anything? No, but I feel comfortable in my clothes. I feel more confident. I do feel so much better. And it's because I'm having mental health. I'm asking friends to help me out. I'm just really, and again, with with having Sarah as a health coach, it's again the accountability. And so much of my stuff I've just totally trashed myself of like, wow, Amanda, the year that you start a business of having a health and fitness podcast and all the other stuff that you do is the year that you stop doing it on your own and you needed somebody else to help you. And I've really beat myself up over that, where I know how okay it is to ask for help, and I will tell everybody to do that all day long, and I 1000% believe that for everyone else but myself. And I'm just like, I don't know. There just feels like there's a lot of shame around that of, hey guys, I couldn't figure this out for me, but listen to me for advice. You know what I mean? Does this make sense? So it's, but I know that, I mean, this is my journey. Like this podcast is made for me to share what I'm really going through, and to not talk about this is me not sharing the journey and how freaking hard it can be in ways that you never, ever, ever could have predicted. Ever. Like, oh my God, I could never have thought that my weight loss, health, fitness journey could have these kind of roadblocks or stumbling or epiphanies. And it's just something that really I'm trying to embrace and learn through, and really focus on how mean I am to myself through this, and know that this isn't right. And I would never want anybody else to feel this. And I would 1000% talk somebody out of this except for me. And I'll just keep telling myself how much I suck. And I know I'm not the only person that does that. And so I'm hoping by listening to this weepy episode that maybe you hear yourself in this too, and realize that, you know, a lot of people are having this struggle and we're not talking about it, because it's, I mean, and that's even doing like an Instagram post. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, it's a fully crafted post around you being vulnerable and whatever. Like, I don't know, I have no notes. I am just puking out what's in my head right now. So this is obviously not highly crafted to have this exact perfect messaging that I want, which is why I love podcasting more than I like writing or social media. But it's just like, you know, if just are different ways of being vulnerable. And I just think that I have not seen anyone have the conversation or heard anybody have the conversation in real life, podcasting, YouTube, social media in general, about how much going through this kind of journey and sharing that process can, I don't know, hurt you. And I'm not going to stop doing that. It's just a way to learn through it. I mean, we're all learning through how to put our lives online, right? Especially in the past year and a half we've had where everything's gone virtual. Of, you know, of seeing the difference between, like, you know, I'm an elder millennial, to see like in Gen Z and how much the differences of how much of your share of yourself. And, you know, we're all kind of navigating this world that none of us have ever been in before, or even can ask anybody else how to deal with it, because no one else has ever dealt with it. And it's messy and scary. And it's just, I think that maybe we just haven't gone to a point yet of talking about sharing a health, wellness, weight loss journey, how that can mess with your head. If, like, cause I've seen so many posts, again, those perfectly crafted posts of like, I've gained weight, and how much, you know, people, I mean, trolls on the internet suck, but, you know, just even, you just think that you're letting everybody down. And, you know, especially people that have like weight loss accounts and feel like, you know, I have to explain myself that life got hard and I gained weight, and yeah, I know it's just, I can't, and like for all of those people, I just so like know what a war they're fighting in their head until they made that post. And then you make that post and it's like dropping a bomb, and just like, oh, you don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's, I mean, all of us are putting that stuff out there. Not all of it. You might be listening to this one like, I don't relate to this, but I think a lot of us share our journeys, or even just sharing your journey with like coworkers, right? Or you tell your coworkers you're trying to lose weight, and then you end up not losing any weight, and you know they can see that. You know that they can visually see that there's no progress happening 6 months later after you're talking about it. And then you feel like horrible, right? You're just kind of like, I'm lying. I just can't do this. And they all know. And I've lived that before. I lived that I'm going to just try to put a year on this. I don't know, like before 2010, that was before I had like lost 60 pounds and then was gaining that back, and I was trying to lose it again. And I would bring all my healthy foods to work, and like everybody on my morning show knew I was like trying to lose weight and be healthy. And I know that I was doing that in front of them. And then at home, I would just go wild, right? Like I would just eat like a, family sized thing of potato salad by myself, because why not? It's freaking delicious. And so I realized like they know I'm BSing. They know what a fraud I am, because I'm eating grape tomatoes with breakfast every day and I'm not losing any weight. And oh my God, how horrible am I? So, I mean, I think it translates in so many different ways other than just social media. It's just social media is just a way more public way to do that than in front of your coworkers or family or whatever else. So I just feel like that's just, it's messed with my head in ways that I didn't imagine it would. And I don't know, I'm having a weird relationship with Instagram right now of I thought at this point I would want to share so much more of my journey. And I find myself pulling back more than sharing, because it feels better. But then I tell myself, well, this is your job now. So God, you suck at your job. Like come on, you're got to be posting in your stories. Like, come on, meal prep Sunday. Come on. And then it becomes obligation instead of me sharing it out of fun. And then it becomes crushing. And I'm working through that right now. I got my personal problems here. And so I just feel like I'm not alone in feeling that. It's just this conversation, I think, that we are having with ourselves in weird ways. And also knowing like how much of, then you're seeing billboards now, like lose the COVID-19, like you've gained 19 pounds and stuff like that, of now people are marketing off of it and making money off of it. And like, then there's some people that are like, I rocked it through COVID. And then you're like, they're not trying to shame you, but you take the shame on yourself of like, well, they crushed it, but what a turd I am because I gained 30 pounds or whatever it was during COVID. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, there's like this no-win situation where it's like, I don't know if you have a personality type like mine, where you could find something in everything to make yourself feel bad about it, of somehow like you suck. And, man, I don't know. That's been just kind of brutal for me, but I'm saying it out loud. I'm walking through it and I'm figuring it out. And, I don't know. I'm feeling better. And I don't know. I just wanted to say all this, one, because I wanted to be honest and open about, my journey, when I'm going through as far as my weight and my body and everything else. But also, I mean, I know I'm not the only person struggling. God, if you're still listening through this, like either you're struggling too, or you're just like getting so much joy out of my struggle. Which, whatever, man. A download is a download. Thanks for the listen. Well, whatever your reasoning is, by being here a half hour in, you know what I mean? It's just like, I want to be helpful, and I feel like sharing my journey can be helpful, which is why I'm really doing this. And that's why I've really had to just pull myself back through how much I've just been brutalizing myself and be like, this is actually for the best. You know what I mean? You're learning so much and navigating these waters, and I'm just going to be better as a personal trainer, and be better as a coach, and be better as a podcaster, and be better as a person from going through this and working through the hard things. And that's where too, of like, you know what? I feel like I got pretty knocked down, and I picked myself up as much as, I have told myself of like, oh my God, well, I had to have somebody help me, count macros and better. And oh my God. And like, it's like, but I still reached out for help, right? This is what I would tell anyone else of like, but you reached out for help, and that's the freaking win. You realized you needed help and you got help. Like that's, truly what I believe, but that's not what I'm telling myself. And so, I am doing the right things. I am feeling comfortable in my body. I am happy with the people I've surrounded myself with. And, so it's just, again, like thinking of it, that you're going to like have this weight loss journey or whatever. And to think that it's just, you're going to set it on autopilot once you've lost the weight is insanity. Like it's not going to happen, because bad things are going to happen. People in your life are going to die, or they're going to leave, or you're going to have to move, or you're going to lose a job, or your house burns down, or just something, it's life. That stuff happens. If you are living life, things are going to happen to you, and there are going to be major roadblocks in the way. And when some major events happen, it's real easy to fall back into an old comfortable zone of like, I'm feeling awful. I don't know how to deal with a global pandemic. How I have dealt with awful traumatic things in the past was eating comfort food. You know what I mean? No, as much as like that I felt like I've worked that a lot out of my system, and I felt like I had a really great handle on it. I was not predicting 2020 like the rest of us, and could not have predicted of like, being 8 o'clock at night and just so overwhelmed and being like, I gotta eat something to feel better. And, and to know that just everybody gets knocked down. And the important part is like, for me, I'm like, no, this isn't going to own me. This isn't going to get any worse than it already is. I see what's going on. This ends now. You know what I mean? And just take the bull by the horns and change the narrative. And it's been 6 months from me doing that. Is everything exactly where I would like it to be? No. Will it ever be exactly what I want it to be? Probably not. You know what I mean? But am I good, feeling good mentally and physically? Yes. Most days. So that's the win of, you know what I mean? Of like turning these things around again. Gain weight back. I can lose it again. I got it. I got this. It's not that I'm bad. It's not that I'm not worthy. It's not that I'm a failure. It's that I'm a human and life happens and I'm making choices. And the best decision possible in the moment of realizing that I'm deeply depressed, I'm returning to old habits, I'm dealing with a lot as far as like identity and career goes. I'm gonna need some help this time. Sure, I figured out my weight loss journey for 9 years by myself. Yeah, got it. Didn't expect this to happen. I'm gonna need some help this time. And really, like I just bawled my eyes out for this episode. But really, that's to me, like just saying this out loud, like I have to realize that that's strength. And that's strength for you too, to just, to catch yourself and be like, do I want to live this life? Is this my life? And that's how I started my weight loss journey. And as a New Year's resolution in 2012, at the end of 2011, I'm like, this is the life I want to have. This doesn't feel like me. And to feel that again last year and be like, this isn't me. This isn't me. This is going to a place I don't want it to go. And to be like, foot down, nope, I can change this. Nobody's going to change this but me. What do I need to do to feel like me again and feel good? And so, so big thank you to Sarah. It's teamfitwithme.com. If you are looking for a health coach, just tell her that you listened to this hot mess of an episode. But that's been great. And shout out to, my therapist, although I can't really shout out to her, but also shout out to Cincy 360 Fitness, Josh Garrett at the gym there, who, God, if you're listening to this episode, hi, Josh, let's talk about this later. But just like that too, we talk about brutalizing myself, of that's where I've been been talked off ledges too, of like being a personal trainer and learning that, a whole new career. And, there's so many parts of it I love so much. I just love helping people on their journey. But there's just so much of like, I don't know. And I've really been beating myself up over that of I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I feel stupid. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I don't belong here. That's been hard too. Making the shift from, having health and fitness, all this stuff be my life whenever I spent 38 years of it. No, 37 years. Well, whatever. I don't know. Whatever. Math. A lot of years of it not being my life. I don't know. It's just, and I think that just any sort of like career change or anything is, intensely brutal, of like just being like, I've been an accountant for 20 years and now I'm going to be a basketball coach. Like, whoa, okay. Like that's going to be not something new. You know what I mean? I think that anything like that already has its own struggle, and just the timing of everything was kind of messed up. And, again, and as I said, I am just horribly brutal to myself. So also know, if you want to be a troll and crap on me from this episode, you can't be meaner to me than I am to me. So it's just a lot of reflection, a lot of thought, and part of that is I'm so deeply appreciative to everyone that listens to this podcast, and I just wanted to share this piece of me with you and what I've been going through, because every day is not sunshine and the glass is half full. Although I try to make it that so much. And then I just brutalize myself on the days where I feel like a bummer. I'm like, where's fun, Amanda? God, dummy. So, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I don't want to keep on rambling on and crying, but that's where I'm at. Things are going well, though. I'm really happy with everything going on. And even the people closest to me in my life, they're like, I could just see, like, as much as I'm stressed out and overwhelmed and figuring everything out, to be told of like, you're just so much happier than you were in radio, or at least the last couple of years of radio, or just where I've been in a lot of my radio career, of just to be able to be like, even through all of this and depression and everything else, to be like, you're a lot happier now. Things are a lot better. And I can feel that too. And I think to be like, I do belong in a space with health and fitness professionals, because I guess that's technically what I am now, is a health and fitness professional. That, just did not feel like this imposter syndrome of like, who am I? Where I'm like, I'm somebody that's lived this my entire life, who is still living this, who is certified in multiple ways now and have credentials behind me, but somehow it's still not good enough. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of those feelings are from being in the body I've been in and the mindset I've been in for my whole life. It's like, that's the messaging I received, and that's old programming that doesn't fit my life now. And I have to find a way to change that narrative of what I've always believed and how I've always seen myself, to seeing myself in a new light, which is part of the journey for all of us, of, wanting to better yourself and believing that that's you. You know what I mean? Like, not thinking that you're some liar or some imposter, or, I've told my coworkers I was losing weight and I didn't. And, that was a lie. That's not who I am. It's just like, that's just the story you're telling you. It's not necessarily true. That's what you've told yourself forever. And you're going to choose to still stay in what you've told yourself forever. And I'm choosing now to not stay in that mindset. And I'm really working really hard to change it. And it's brutal, but it'll get there, and it's getting better. And I hope you make the same choice, because, you absolutely deserve it. You deserve to feel proud of yourself You deserve to feel beautiful. You deserve to live the life that you want to live. And I totally mean that for every single person that is listening to this. And I hope that you believe it about yourself too. Anywho, maybe not this episode, but if there's any episode of this podcast that you find helpful on your journey or you feel like would help somebody else, it really is incredibly helpful to share this podcast. Social media, friends, family, anything. I mean, really spreading the word about this podcast could be the most amazing thing that you could do for me. If you want to do me a solid, that would be great. I would really, really appreciate that. And of course, if you ever want to give me any feedback, you can always email me at amanda@amandavalentinbites.com. If you want to see that picture of my sweet juicy dumper on Instagram, I couldn't do that one without laughing. You can find me on Instagram at You Can Pound This. And yeah, thanks for listening, and more fun topics outside of this to come. All right, bye.
AmandaValentineBites.com